Hi, everybody. My name is Kristen, and today is Thursday, October the 24th, and this is the Queen City Yarn Dying to Knit podcast. This is episode 18, and it's a podcast about the fiber arts and pretty much just my adventures in making things. I'm a knitter and yarn dyer for Queen City Yarn, which I own with my friend Janice, and yeah, I do other things too, just not as frequently as those two things. So sometimes a little weaving, spinning, cross stitch. I think that's it. Felting, maybe, I don't know, might come into play. But today it's going to be all about knitting and dyeing yarn. So if you're new, thank you so much for coming and checking me out. If you're coming back for another episode, thanks so much for sticking with me. I hope everything is going well. Okay, a couple more administrative things. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Kristen C. And also Queen City Yarn. On Ravelry, I'm just Kristen. It's CHRISTEN. And you can find me, my projects, and my designs on Ravelry. And then you can find all the yarn at queencityyarn.com. So today, I don't have as much as I have in the past to talk to you about because things have been crazy busy while we've been getting ready for some fun fall vending events with Queen City. So I have a few finished objects. I have a couple sweaters in progress and a pair of socks to show you. And then I also have a new pattern that I just released yesterday that I wanted to chat with you about. So, I am drinking a hazelnut latte that I just made, and it is delicious. It's got 3 shots of espresso in it because that's how I roll. So, all right, so let's first talk about finished objects. I showed this last time, blocked I think last time I showed it, or maybe the time before. This is my V-neck boxy from Joji Locatelli. This is the fingering weight version. And this is in Queen City Yarn Noda Sock, and this is the Paxton colorway, which we designed this summer for an event, and now we're having in the shop. So, yay! Totally love it. I'm so excited to be wearing some hand knits now. The weather has finally changed, and it's cooler, at least in the mornings. It's getting a little bit warm in the afternoon still, but like 70s, which is still, you can hang out in some hand knits. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm wearing the sweater and some cozy socks, some Kirby Warby socks that I just finished recently. So yeah, yay for hand knits. All right, so speaking of socks, one of my first finished objects is another pair of socks for me. These are my Hot Pink Shorty rainbow socks, and these are knit with Fab Funky Fibers. I think it was called Atomic Rainbow. I'm not sure. I think I talked about it before, but they are super bright and super duper cheerful and happy, and I love them so much. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel on these. I think probably just because I was being lazy. It's not the best heel for shorty socks for me. It's just not quite deep enough, and so the socks sit really low. They're definitely like no-show socks with my sneakers. But I really like them. I haven't worn them yet. I tried them on and took a picture to put on Ravelry as a finished picture. But other than that, I wanted to show them on the podcast first. And so now they'll go into my sock drawer and get put into the shorty sock rotation. I'm pretty much only knitting myself shorty socks right now because I have a ton of like mid-calf length socks. And I do need to like go through and weed some out, I think, that I've had for years and years and I've kind of stretched out or felted. I've gotten rid of the ones that had holes in them. For a while I saved them thinking that I might darn them, but I just have so many socks and a very nice stash of sock yarn, so I just use it as an excuse to knit more socks for myself. So right now I'm focusing on shorty socks for me. All right, so another thing that I finished, which I hadn't even started the last time I podcasted, are some leg warmers for my daughter Caitlin. These are spooky leg warmers, and this is in, the yarn is called Havierland. I have the tag. This is the dyer. Havierland, I believe is how you say it, hand-dyed yarn. This is the Potomac sock set, and this colorway is called the Sanderson Sisters. This dyer is actually very close to where my parents live in Maryland. And when I went to my mom's local yarn store, Crazy for You, up there last year sometime, she had some matching little sock sets, little sock matching balls. I've used one. This is the second one. So I still have 50 grams, so I can make myself some Halloween shorty socks in the Sanderson Sisters colorway. But my daughter wanted, first she wanted socks, shorty socks, and so I had cast on, and then she saw the colorway and she decided she wanted tall socks. And then she changed her mind again and said she wanted leg warmers. So I had knit, I don't know, probably to here, no, maybe this purple one, on a size 1 needle, and then she decided she wanted leg warmers, and she tried it on, and they were just too tight for leg warmers. So I ripped it out and re-knit, and I used a size 2 needle, and where the colors changed, I just did knit 2 together yarn over, because I thought it would make them kind of like scrunchy and cool leg warmers, and it totally worked out well. She absolutely loves them and has worn them quite a few times already. She wore them to the pumpkin patch and was so all excited about it. We went to the pumpkin patch last weekend. So, some leg warmers for Caitlin. And then I can't knit something for her and not knit something for Ryan. So he wanted tall socks. He is like all about the tall socks now. He played soccer last year and the year before, but last year he really decided he fell in love with the soccer socks. These have hairs on them. I just washed them. So he wanted tall socks. So these are pretty tall. I guess I could have made them even taller, but he really likes them. These are his Halloween socks, and I did a long cuff. I did a full repeat of rib for the cuff, and then I did a long leg for him because he's 5, so his legs really aren't that long. And then I just did a fish lips kiss heel and the foot with a square toe. And this is, again, this Haverland hand-dyed yarn Potomac sock set and the Lock Your Doors colorway. So he was really excited too. And because they both knew, so they both picked out their yarn. And because they both knew that I was knitting for them, they kept asking me, are mine done yet? Are mine done yet? Are mine done yet? And so I literally would knit one leg warmer of Caitlin's and then one sock for Ryan. And then the second of each, I did kind of in tandem. I'd knit on hers for a little bit and then knit on his for a little bit. And I finished his on a Thursday evening, but didn't show him that they were done until Friday when I finished Caitlin's, and then they both got them and wore them to the pumpkin patch on Saturday. And they both really liked them. And I just washed his because he wore them a few times before I washed them, because with wool socks you can wear them a couple times. And so I figured I better go ahead and record a podcast before he wears them and they're dirty again. So these are 2 finishes for me. And so really that's all the finished things I have. Like I said, things have been super busy with Queen City yarn, and I've been knitting, but just not a ton, not as much as usual. So let's get into the works in progress because I have a few to show. Okay, I'll start with the one that was on the needles last time. No, I think there was one other on the needles. So this is my Garden Gate by Jennifer Steingass. And last time I don't know if I had this first sleeve done or not. Yeah, I did. I think I did. So the first sleeve is done. The body is done, maybe. And I've gotten a good start on the second sleeve. I haven't been knitting on this very much recently because of the leg warmers and the socks, but I'm really excited to get this second sleeve done. Now, the reason I say the body is done, maybe, is because when I tried it on, it was a little short on me. Cropped sweaters can look really cute, I think, on anyone, but I've worn some that I liked and that looked really cute on me, I thought. And then there's some that they're either not cropped quite enough or they're cropped a little too much. They just don't hit, or that doesn't make sense. One's a little too long or a little too short. And when I tried this on, it just didn't hit me in a good spot where I thought that it was flattering. So my plan is I'm going to finish the second sleeve and then block it and see how I feel about the fit. And if I decide that the fit is still not right, still a little too short, I'm going to take off the bottom hem and take out the short rows and then re-knit. Initially I thought, well, maybe I'll just cut it off and knit some length and then Kitchener it back together. But because this is hand-dyed yarn, I alternated skeins, and I feel like it would look better. It'd be a better transition to continue to rip back and continue knitting with the yarn that I had here and work in, the next ball of yarn that I have, just so that it's not like a glaring chunk of knitting that's not with the same ball of yarn. So this is knit out of Queen City Yarn Berry Hill yarn, and this is our exclusive base that we've had milled just for us at a local mill here in the Carolina Mountains. And it is an 80% domestic merino, which is not superwash, and a 20% alpaca. And it's so soft. It's soft in the skein, but once you wash it and it blooms, it's incredibly, even more soft. So I really love it. I really love it for color work. It's just absolutely beautiful for color work. And it's kind of a heavy fingering, heavier fingering. It's 400 yards to 100 grams, and it blooms nicely. So it can be used both as at a fingering weight gauge or at a sport weight gauge very nicely. So I'm loving that. I'm really excited to get that sleeve done now that my obligation knitting that I was working on is kind of done. So I can figure out about the body, because I really want to have that done to take and wear at the Carolina Fiber Frolic that's coming up in November. And I'll talk about the dates for that towards the end. All right, the next thing I have to show, and I think these were on the needles last time too. This is in my my Kitchen Counter Crafter coffee bag from my friend Jenny. And this is some shorty socks for me, and this is the Creme de Menthe colorway from the Yarn Jar, which I don't think I have the tag in here. So I finished, what I'm doing for the cuff, and then I knit the heel flap and the heel turn with Knit Picks Essential Solids in black. And then last night before I went to bed, I picked up the stitches, and when I do a heel flap, as suggested by my friend, the sock doctor, Christy, who's Turtle Girl 76, I knit, when I do the heel flap, I knit a couple stitches and garter stitch on each end, so I can just slide my needle up through those garter bumps to pick up stitches instead of going through and picking up each stitch, which is amazing. And it makes picking up stitches very easy, but with the black yarn, it was extremely hard, so I had to use my trusty neck light. I don't know if you guys have these, but when using black yarn, or even sometimes just knitting in my living room, which doesn't have great light for crafting in the evenings, I have this neck light. It's all come off. It's hug. I think it's called a hug light. My friend, so one year at the Carolina Fiber Frolic, somebody had one of these, and then my friend Lori ordered some, and so I've got this, and you just hook it around your neck. And then it's got lights. I won't do it because it will totally blind you. Like flashlights. And so that made picking up the stitches in the black yarn at like 11 o'clock. Doable. And I'm knitting this on a 9-inch circular. When I did my heel flap and the heel turn, I used double pointed needles just on those stitches. And then once I picked up my stitches, I'm back to the 9-inch circulars. And so now I'm just knitting around, and I have markers here on either side from the heel stitches, just so I know where the top of the foot and the bottom of the foot is for counting stitches to do the gusset decreases, as well as knowing where to do my start my toe and stuff like that when I get down to the bottom. So I'll keep these 2 markers on here. These markers down here at the bottom are where I'm starting my first gusset. So I'll do the gusset on either side of the heel turn, and I'll do that until I've decreased out a lot of these, all but a couple of these extra stitches, and then I'll actually move these markers up to decrease out the rest of the stitches, and that's why it's called a double gusset. It's under the foot. That was designed by Christy, the sock doctor, Turtle Girl 76. And I've talked about it before, but that's my absolute favorite heel for fit. So that's what I'm doing on these socks for me. And this is yarn from the Yarn Jar in the Creme de Menthe colorway. I knit a pair of socks with this colorway for a Christmas gift, and I've got plenty left to knit myself a pair. So that's the current sock in progress that I have on the needles. Usually I have so many more socks on the needles, but yeah, just don't. Well, the kids were kind of like my socks. Well, Ryan's wore socks, but Caitlin's leg warmers. That was like my walk around knitting outside and stuff like that. All right, so the next thing I have to show, this bag is so pretty. This Tanny Casey bag. I really love this bag. It's like a nice heavy canvas, and the fabric has metallic gold on it, which I just think is so pretty. It's just such a pretty fall bag. So this is the bag I'm using. Last time, and so many times before I podcasted, I said, I'm going to cast on something with this. I had kept a whole die lot of this Queen City Yarn Biddleville DK in the October colorway. And October is kind of a weird name, but if you are a Dr. Seuss fan or have little ones who are Dr. Seuss fans, there's a book called The First of October, and it's like all your wildest dreams will come true, like all these things that you're wishing for if you'll just wait till the 1st of October. And this is a colorway that Janice designed, and usually we name colorways together, but I think she didn't have a good one for this. And my kids go through phases where we read the same book over and over and over and over and over again. And during the naming of this yarn happened during that phase for Dr. Seuss, the First of October book. So this colorway is called October, and I am knitting. It's called Tide Chart, and it's by Amy Miller. It is a design that she did for Plucky Knitter. So it's black and white, but this is the sweater. My mom knit one of these using our Calories Don't Count on Your Birthday colorway, and it turned out so pretty. And this colorway is dyed very similarly to that one, and I really love the way that it's working up. I know, just show me already, right? So it's all bunched up on a little needle, but I have a start, like a legit start, where I've done the neck and all the short rows, and I have done the increases for the raglan, and I actually, like, just an inch ago separated the sleeves off. So now it's gonna be zoom, 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 because I took off all these stitches for the sleeves, and those are just on waste yarn on hold for when I get to them. But I'm really loving it, how it's knitting up. I think the speckles are really beautiful, and they are distributing pretty evenly, which is something, I love speckled yarns. Sometimes I feel like it's hard to knit them into sweaters without looking flashy, like like variegated yarns do sometimes. And I feel like Paxton did the same thing. Prissy Pants and a lot of our colorways can be knit into garments as long as I feel like with any hand-dyed yarn you should alternate skeins, and that's what I'm doing here. I didn't alternate until after I finished the short rows because that's a pain in the butt. So once I got done with the short rows, I started alternating skeins, and I can't even tell where. I think it looks really, really nice and even and well distributed. Sorry, I don't know. My screen went back for a minute, so you probably maybe saw me doing this weird like, what's going on face. But this is this, so I'm loving it. I got it started. I think I cast it on the evening after I podcasted the last time, because I was so excited about it after talking about it on the podcast. But obligation knitting got in the way, and I haven't been working on it that much, but I'm excited to get back to it. I'm at the point where I wanted to be with this before going to the frolic, because now I can just zoom on the body and then on the sleeves. To alternate the skeins, I am doing the helical knitting, which is amazing for alternating skeins of yarn for hand-dyed yarn. You can't even tell where the I'm trying to see like where did I start it even to show you, but it moves over 3 stitches each time, so it doesn't leave. I have some sweaters where I've done it just across down the back, like at a seam or under the arm, and you can see the yarn's twisting and it's always a little tight, and the stitches are always a little tight or a little funky and loose there. And it doesn't happen with helical knitting. So if you are using hand-dyed yarn for a sweater, I highly, highly suggest checking out the helical knitting. Just watch a tutorial, and once you have yarn in hand and have done it, like, it's so easy, and completely worth any extra effort that it takes to do, which is really, I feel like the only extra effort is in yarn management, so your balls don't get twisted, Nothing worse than twisty balls. Oh, this is my mug. Isn't it cute? This is a Jenny the Potter mug. This is actually the first Jenny the Potter mug I ever got. And I got it at the first Maryland Sheep and Wool that I ever went to. My mom and I went, and she was in the barn with, I think it was where Maryland Sheep and Wool's got so much bigger since the first one that I went to. And it's always been big. But she was in the barn, with the same barn where they were selling like the merchandise, like the Maryland Sheep and Wool merchandise. And so I got to meet Jenny, which was amazing. And then in her booth with her was, what was her name? Amy, the girl the woman who did Knitty, like started Knitty. So I got to meet both of them, and I bought this mug, and there was not a crazy line. She had a beautiful booth full of mugs and yarn bowls and vases and all kinds of things. And I just walked in and had a conversation with her. She's so busy now. In the beginning of the shows, she usually sells out. When I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool this year, I did get to chat with her some, because I went and got mugs in the morning, like beelined for it the first thing. And then later in the afternoon, I went back to chat, and so that was really nice. But this is my first one, and it's a sheep, and he's wearing green socks. And there's knitting, a ball of yarn, and a sock in progress on double pointed needles. I love this one. Yay! Yay for fun mugs. All right, so I think I showed you all the things in progress. One thing I'll post a picture of somewhere on the screen. So Alexis of Cold Comfort Knits designed a gorgeous hat and mitt set with Berry Hill yarn called the Berry Hill set. And she used Berry Hill yarn in the colorways Hydrangea and Naked. And she released the pattern set last weekend. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so I cast on the hat earlier this week. But yesterday, Janice came to pack up all of the stuff here to take with her for the Black Mountain Yarn Shop Indie Extravaganza this weekend. And she took my whip. so that she could show people how beautiful the design was. And it looks like a complicated design, but it's not. It's very simple to do. The pattern is free. She's offering it for free, like forever for free, for the hat and fingerless mitts set. And you can get both the hat and the mitts out of one skein of each color. So if you're going to the event, Janice will have that in the booth, and you can actually knit a couple stitches on it if you want to. Help me finish that hat. But I took a picture while waiting in line at the bank the other day, so I have it in progress, just not in hand. So that's the last real thing in progress that I have to chat with you about. So, okay, so there's only a couple more things to chat about. One is a new pattern release. I just yesterday released on Ravelry my Pop-Op mitts, and when my husband saw my Instagram post, he was like, Pop-Op, what's that supposed to be? And I'm going to show you here on the ones that I knit for my brother-in-law for Christmas. So they're fingerless mitts with a gusseted thumb, but you have the option to pop the top for a mitten. And I thought it was super clever, and it made me giggle to name them that. And I feel like I don't know that he truly appreciated how funny it is. So these are them. The pattern calls for Biddleville DK. This one skein. This is a size large, and I was able to get a full size large out of one skein, and yay! I'm so excited about them. So the reason for this pattern design is that I sent a text out at the beginning of the year telling all my family members that I was going to be doing Christmas knitting throughout the year, and I wanted to get everything done so that I could enjoy my December and not be like crazy knitting a million Christmas gifts in like a day. And so I asked everyone to let me know if they had something specific that they really were hoping to get this year. And so my brother-in-law Steven said, I would really, really love to have another pair of the Pop Top mittens. Because years ago, I knit them for everyone. And this was another of my own design. These are my husband's. He still has his, and this is them from, oh my gosh, maybe 2007 or something like that. So this was my own pattern. It's very, very similar, as you can see. The option to pop the top was there. The main difference, and I think aside from yarn, the only difference is the thumb. Now this one, it's going to be hard to see because it's black yarn. This one, what I did was I just put in, I think I even put in waste yarn. I don't think I was confident in cutting my knitting at this point to cut in an afterthought thumb, but I put waste yarn for thumb stitches just across like maybe a third of the palm. So these did not have a thumb gusset. They just had like a thumb hole and then the thumb put on there. So there's no extra stitches to make that thumb comfortable here on the side of your hand. So these are his from way back when. So when I designed this Pop-Up pattern, what I did was I added a gusseted thumb. And the thumb gusset is a different size for each of the sizes, small, medium, and large in the pattern. It incorporates more or fewer stitches, or it increases to more or fewer stitches to make it comfortable for every size hand. So that's the main difference from my pattern that I think I shared with my mom and a coworker maybe back then, that I didn't publish any patterns back then. It was just among my knitting little group or whatever. And so I'm really excited to be kind of revamping this pattern and making it something that I can be proud of today. I think that this mitten pattern is very approachable for a beginner knitter. It's very well laid out as far as step by step what you need to do. And yeah, so I'm very excited about it. And this is the Pop-Up mitts, and they are available on via Ravelry. as of yesterday. And they call for 1 skein of Biddleville DK, which is 100 grams to 250 yards of DK weight yarn. So it's kind of DK worsted weight yarn. So yay, I'm really, really excited about that. So that was my new pattern. Now, the only other thing I have to talk about are all of the fun events coming up for Queen City. And for me and for Janice, which I'll mention, even though she's not here, I'm trying to get her to come back on again. So hopefully she will soon. But we'll find time to be able to do it, because with all of these fun events coming up, we have been working our tails off. So last weekend, Janice went to Crazy for You up in Leonardtown, Maryland, which is my mom's local yarn shop. And she went up there with a pop-up shop for their Socktoberfest event and got to see her friend Tanis Gray, who was teaching classes, and she got to spend the weekend with my family. And so thank you so much to everyone who came out and showed your support for Queen City Yarn and checked us out and said hi to Janice. I know she had a great weekend and she really enjoyed meeting all of y'all. So thank you for your support for that. Coming up, we have quite a few shows. Janice is actually at Black Mountain Yarn Shop right now as we speak, setting up a beautiful booth full of lots of Queen City yarn for the Black Mountain. This is their very first, hopefully first of many, indie extravaganza events for the weekend of SAF. And so she's setting up today and will be vending up on the second floor of Black Mountain Yarn Shop tomorrow, Friday, which is Friday, and Saturday, so the 25th and the 26th of October from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. She's going to have lots of Berry Hill yarn there. She'll have our Biddleville DK, Noda sock, and some of our Plaza Midwood bulky. She also has a gorgeous show colorway called Mountain Orchard, and I'll post a picture of that on somewhere so you can see, which turned out absolutely beautiful. And she used a skein of the DK to test knit my mitten pattern, so you can see that on our Instagram, how it knits up. It's so beautiful. And then coming up November 6th through the 9th, the Magical Fiber Fantasy Retreat in Orlando, Florida is going to be happening. Janice is going to be there, and she's going to have quite a bit of Queen City yarn there as well. She will have a booth and everything set up so that you can go and check us out and get whatever you need. And then the same weekend, I'm going to be at the Carolina Fiber Frolic Retreat in Sapphire, North Carolina. And there's a short window of time on Saturday morning where you can shop Queen City yarn. And I'll have Berry Hill and some Biddleville DK with me. And I'm really, really excited. I'm super excited about that event. I can't wait to share Berry Hill yarn with everyone at the Frolic. The Frolic has a really special place in my heart for with Queen City yarn in mind. Well, it has a special place in my heart anyway, because I've met so many good friends there. And it's one of the only knitting retreats that I go on. It was the first one I ever went to, and I just enjoy it and enjoy the company so much. But it's also the first place that we ever sold Queen City yarn. We had a very small table the first year that we were dyeing yarn and shared it with everyone. And it's really cool to be able to share with them each year how we've grown and the new things that we have. And so bringing Berry Hill to the Carolina Fiber Frolic, I'm just over the moon excited about. I can't wait to show everyone there what we've done and this new base. So yay, I'm so excited. And I'm going to be there with my mom, and my friend Lori is going to stay with us, and then everybody is going to be there except for Janice, because she has events same weekend, which is a bummer. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope that you're going. That would be so amazing if you are. If you're not, boo. Maybe you can come sometime. Or if you're not close by, maybe you can find a knitting retreat that you can go to, because it's so nice to be among fiber friends and just get to spend time and be inspired by each other. So that's coming up. And if you are coming to one of our events and there's something that you're really dying to see in person or really looking forward to getting your hands on, let us know. You can reach us on Instagram by messaging us or send us an email at queencityyarn@gmail.com, and we'll try and get it for you. So, yeah, I think that's it. It's a really quick episode today. Like I said, I've been so busy with the events, planning, and all that kind of stuff that there's just not that much knitting to show. But next time, hopefully there'll be tons of knitting. And so, yeah, until then, I hope you have some happy knitting, and I will see you next time.